Welcome to the another podcast of Navigating Growth with Arora. I'm your host Nitin Arora, and today we are diving into one of the most important crucial skill in business and leadership, which is problem solving. Whether you are running a startup or leading a large organization, the ability to navigate challenges and find solution can determine your success. So in this podcast, we will explore actionable strategies for approaching complex problem, real-time examples of overcoming businesses obstacle, and how we can develop a problem-solving mindset that leads to growth. So on today's episode of Navigating, I am thrilled to announce a remarkable entrepreneur and thought leader who has dedicated his life to creating meaningful impact. Please welcome our guest Ognjen, a founder of Respot Coach, professional trainer, and an inventor of T2 approach. And please join me again welcoming Ognjen, the CEO, innovator, and value creator, who is here to share his wisdom on how we can create the life and career we want through effective coaching, leadership, and a strong sets of value. So, as we already know, the topic of the day is problem solving and how we can come up with the best way in order to deal with various varieties of problem and coming up with the best resolution in order to overcome the obstacle. So here we will be having some kind of important discussion about defining the problem and how we can identify the problem and coming up with different strategies in order to understand the root cause, in order to use the SWOT analysis and coming up with various solution, and at last we'll see how the best solution can fix the problem.
Yeah, first of all, I'm glad to be here, and I want to thank you for the invitation. I'm really very happy to do this thing for with you and for you.
Thank you so
And
much.
problem solving, it's a big issue nowadays, in my opinion, both in business as well as also in our private life, actually, because it's a question. Let's say that all of us see problems as problems,
Mhm.
but if we just try to move our vision and try to see all those problems as obstacles, as challenges, let's say, that could be the way to become our better version.
Mhm.
It's a very different thing to have a look on this. So, in my opinion, we should first of all try to reach that awareness, let's say, in order to be able to see those problems not as such, but rather as necessary obstacles that are moving us towards our better version, let's say. So I think that the crucial point is this one.
Yes, you are completely right. So the first is the awareness of our people or how they are driving and they're striking the work, and then understanding what is the problem, meaning identifying the problem. The first step in solving any problem is to correctly identify and defining it. How can business and leader ensure that they are addressing the root cause of an issue rather than just the symptoms of the problem? So I usually, you follow the framework like root cause analysis, five whys, or the SWOT analysis in order to understand what is causing the issue in order to identifying the problem, and then coming up with the team in order to do the critical thinking and approaching the problem solving techniques.
Yeah, I think that the mindset is the most important thing, because usually when we have, let's call it problem, we are not able to be patient, we are not able to be calm. And I think that the first point is this one. So we should try to be objective, try to be calm, and then, as you already said perfectly, the first point is to define the problem. I think that on one side we should define it. In which way? There are a lot of ways. Let's say that the first one could be, okay, let's say, let's try to analyze the situation from not from our perspective, but from another perspective, from an external point of view, let's say. And then we should also divide that problem, that issue, in smaller problems, because this is the way, in my opinion, to handle with the smaller problems and not with the huge one. To our to us, it seems a huge one. So I think that the first issue is this one, and then there are a lot of techniques. There are a lot of different approaches that could help us towards solving this problem.
Yep, absolutely. I'm totally agree with you. In order to defining the problem is to calmly understand and understanding the situation rather than jumping into the solution. And then mindset is the really utmost important thing in order to understand how you can be a best problem solver. Because if you are just running after just solving the problem, that is not leading you until and unless you are trying to identify and then doing with lot of strategies in order to understand the real root cause, what exactly caused the problem, and then coming up with solution with a calm mind and picking up the best solution, that can absolutely outweigh your solving approach. So my
Yeah,
question is, can you share a time when you and your company faced a major challenge, and how did you approach solving it?
yeah, of course, it's a real pleasure. Before, I want to say something else because you gave me the assist. Let's say that the first thing is to understand the initial state. To define the problem, but we actually at the same time we should also realize our goal. So the second state, our future state, our vision. So in my opinion, this is also the first most important thing, to have a vision. It's also important in our life, in our personal life, and also as well as in our business life. And this is actually the first point with which I start when I had to handle a huge problem, let's say, because then it was a huge problem for me. Actually, it was when I become the CEO of the company where I worked for as an employee. And as it was a small, let's say, before it was a small company, but in a short period of time, it passed from 1.2 million of turnover, right? Then next year to 4.5 million, sorry. And the year after, it was at 7.8 million with 300 employees. There were a lot of problems in such an exponential growth. And so I had to define all those problems. I had to make it smaller. So we had a great problem, and then I realized that it was actually 10 smaller problems. I had the vision, and it was the first and the most important point, in my opinion, because if you don't have the vision, you don't know what do you have to do in order to get there. And it's like an aeroplane, let's say. If it doesn't know the destination, it could not reach there. So the first and most important is to have the vision, and then also teamwork is very important because with the delegation, uh, we together can reach a bigger goal, except if yeah, instead of if I have to do it on my own. So teamwork is also, I think, very important, both in our personal life as well as in our business life.
Mhm. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. Teamwork is such a phenomenal thing when we try to, have the conversation with our team, understanding the approach in a holistic manner, and
Yeah.
brainstorming, in order to coming up with the best solution. That's where we are gathering very great amazing points, and this is the only approach that most of the entrepreneurs follow in order to come up with the resolution in a short span of time. And I also really like your approach, that breaking down your task into the smaller tasks in order to identifying so quickly and so well manner in order to understand the root cause of the solution. So there were few tools and
Yeah,
techniques for problem solvings in the today's world and the business that people and most of the entrepreneurs they are approaching nowadays. AI is booming a lot, right? So AI driven insights are very helpful in order to solve problem
of course.
in a faster and a smarter way. So what's your view on this? Do you think that we should completely trust on the AI in order to compress the timeline and coming up with the best solutions?
Wow, AI is an interesting topic. It's let's say, in my opinion, you say the word holistic, and in my opinion, it's my preferred word. Let's say, because we have to this holistic vision of the world. In my opinion, we have a lot of problems. Humanity have a lot of problems. Actually, because we lost this kind of vision, in my opinion, with the industrialization and so on. We had this problem. AI could help us, but in my opinion, it can't solve all our problems. Problems could be solved only by our mindset, in my opinion, and of course later on with our action, because it's fundamental. It's not sufficient only mindset. We have also to act and to put available to the others also our solutions and so on. But I think that we have to use absolutely AI for those questions that the AI is purposed to be. So we can't wait from AI to solve all our problems, but we can use it to help us. Let's say,
Yes.
yeah.
So just that we are using everyone's approach in a small manner and then brilliantly adding up and coming up with, the human as well as the AI intervention. So we are not completely trusting on AI, but it's just that we know that, okay, that can help us in order to provide the best tool in order to compress the timeline to coming up with the best solution. However, we are also, relying on our human approach and taking the help from small help from the AI just to see whether it is matching our expectation and picking up few of the solution that can actually solve the real problem that we are into. You
Okay.
also talked about the team members is it's the utmost important in order to solve the problem. So how important is collaboration in solving big problems, and how can teams be more effective in in working together?
Yeah, for example, from my experience and the one I had to manage when I was the CEO of that company I have just told you. For example, defining a problem and divide it into smaller problem, I can also realize which of my teammates, so which of my employees were adapted for each kind of smaller problem. Okay, so it was also the way to understand, based on their innate capacities, in my opinion, because this is also the most important thing in business world. Based on their innate capacities, who should manage which smaller problem. So I have started from vision. Then I realized that we had some problems. I make it smaller, let's say, and then I also delegate different small problems to each person. In this way, each single person realized that he or she is very important for the company, because, as I already told, smaller problems are a part of a whole question, let's say. And every single person of the team knows it. And when we know that all of us are working towards the same goal, let's say that we are putting all of ourselves in that, in solving the issue, and we also have the capacity to feel the part of the team. In this way, we can do our best to in order to solve the problems, or other way to create some value.
Yes, absolutely. Even like your approach in order to value the team, because the team can bring the best value to and appreciating of their work, and that's what they are motivating in order to bring out the best version of themselves and provide the best value to the organization. So I have one question in my mind. How can leader foster a culture of problem solving with their organization?
Wow. This is also a very important
Yeah.
topic, being a leader. I have also written, I can tell you, an article about this, and I have also talked about this in my book. It's very difficult to be a real leader, in my opinion, because I can see a lot of managers that there are actually no leaders at all. And it's a very big problem because when we have a power, let's say, so when we are in some manager or perhaps also CEO, you must understand that being a leader is not being a boss. It's a very different thing because being a leader, it means teamwork, first of all, as we have already said, and also a great attention towards others. Also towards, we spoke about innate capacities. If I know that you're not able to do one thing because it's not in one of your innate capacities, it's not productive if I put you to do that thing. So I think that leadership is also this, and as well as communication. Communication is a very big and important thing in being a leader, in my opinion, because I can also be a leader for me, for myself. But if I don't communicate this in the right way for other people, I can be the real leader for the others. So yeah, being a leader is very important. Not all of us could be a leader in this moment, but all of us, if we want it, could become a leader, in my opinion, because you have to follow, let's say, some path of first of all discovering yourself, because first of all, leader must be the one who have already discovered themselves, in my opinion, uh, because you can see that when you know who you are, when you know your values, your innate capacities, and when you know your goals, you become a true leader, in my opinion, because in this way you know the way, and you know that each obstacle, each challenge that you find along your path, it's actually just it's not a problem as we said before, but see, it's actually a challenge that you have to manage, that you have to solve in order to be able to reach there.
Yes, indeed. So obviously, leaders and the boss, they both have the two different approaches. I also, consider myself as a servant leader in order to deal with any of the problem and any of the tasks that I allocate to my people and run the company. Because being as a servant leader, it's just that you are not only valuing people, but also you are giving value to your organization. That's the culture that you have built for the
Of
people who
course.
are associated with you, rather than being called as a boss. So creating a culture in order to be a flawless execution of any project that they handle, and providing them a I mean, what I mean to say, providing them a space for doing trial and error method or research. That's where you are standing out loud from the different organization in order to foster a culture of problem solving within your organization. So so
Yeah, the right culture is the most important thing in one organization, because if you don't have the right culture, you have people freezed. They're afraid of acting, and it's a very big problem for companies, in my opinion. And otherwise, if you allow people to make mistakes, because we are human actually, we must make mistakes in order to improve our capacities. And when you're able to create that kind of culture, I think that your organization have another a lot more possibilities, many more possibilities, sorry, for prosperity.
Yeah, this is what, we follow the agile methodology in order to provide a free space for our team to make mistake, to understand where they are, identifying the problem. And that's where once they identify the problem, then we are implementing a different approach in order to, provide or bring the best deliverables. So this is how everyone has their own ways of working in order to, you know, work whatever the things they would like to drive. So obviously there were, different tools and techniques and the different methodologies. Every organization has its own. So are there any tools and techniques are you rely to enhance your problem solving processes?
Let's say that I try to not to reach a problem.
Hmm.
I try to prevent it. In which
Okay.
way? In my everyday life, in my personal life, I did it discovering myself, discovering my net capacities, discovering my values, and also all my weak points also because I want to work on it. Let's say all of us, each of us have its own life draw, in my opinion, and we have to discover it. And I've tried to work on myself. So actually, I managed it. I think I discover myself, and I also realize who I have to be and which way I can help the others with my net capacities. So I've tried and I managed to solve the problem at the basis. So in this way, really, when I have some issue to solve, it's not a problem anymore for me. It's really an opportunity for growth. And this is this is the same approach that I want to also translate to my company and to the to my organization, also to my customers. Let's try to understand which are who we are, which are our values. So this is this definition of who we are and what are our values is the base, in my opinion, for each path. Then let's try to understand from this situation where we want to go. So let's try to define our goals, our medium term, our long term goals, but then also our short term goals, actually. In this way, we are all together, we know, let's say, me as a CEO need to define this. Then I have to communicate it in order to be a real leader and in order to allow my organization to become leader also towards my employees and my collaborators and so on. And I think this is the right way, not wait for problems to become problems, but try to prevent them by defining who we are, what are our values, what are our goals, and also the path we should follow to reach our goals. In this way, we'll be able to do very easily our problem solving because problems are not problems, but actually opportunities for growth.
Yeah. Absolutely correct. The approach is very well defined. Prevention is better than cure. We often say that. In order to make this as a bigger problem, we try to suppress the problem, prevent it by, doing a different approach, and also, coming up with the contingency plan. If in case, those prevention didn't work, so obviously we know, how to, come up with a different
I've
approach.
seen
Every business faces problem, but the key is learning from, those businesses, those
of
entrepreneurs
course.
who they are, coming up with the best approaches in order to prevent those problem and 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 failing better, and then coming up with the best way in order to deal with those challenges as a motivation for them. So talk about how leaders can turn failures into learning experiences?
Yes, let's say that first of all, we have to be calm and patient, and we have to define everything, every single part of the problem. Then, once solved the problem, we should also work for a short period of time, in my opinion, not for long, on what created those problems, and try to ask ourselves why that problem occurred. This is the way, in my opinion, to sensibilize all our people, so all our employees, or all our collaborators, sorry, and try to explain them the right approach we should have, the right mindset. I think the crucial point is the mental flexibility because usually when people become stressed, when we wait for this to happen and this is not happening, so this create stress usually. But when we have when our mental flexibility is on high level, we can actually realize that if we can't solve the problem in this way, we could perhaps change the way to solve it. So I think that a real leader should try to develop in her or his employees this mental flexibility that allows the people not to be stressed, but rather to be focused on solving the problem in another way.
Yes, yes, absolutely. As we have already discussed, mindset plays a very important role in order to deal not only solving the problem, but in any approach that we follow, because it's all about 80% mindset and 20% skill. So
Of
the
course.
skill can be developed by hours and hours of practice, coming up with our own experiences. But mindset is such a phenomenal, invincible things. Once we develop in our environment, then nobody can snatch. It's just that it's how we are, it's how we resilient about anything. No matter what hits us back, we just keep moving forward and coming up with adaptability in order to mold ourselves, in order to go with the flow and understanding with a real situation being the biggest turning point. And that's where is about the continuous learning. It's just that we are following our approach and we are also training ourselves in order to coming up with the holistic approach to solve the biggest problem that we occur. So at last,
Nitin, you underlined the most important thing, in my opinion.
yes,
Sorry for interrupting you.
no worries.
You said the most important thing that this should become a part of us.
Yes,
This is a very the most important point that we have already talked about in this podcast. I think, for example, Kaizen in continuous improvement is one of my values because I strongly believe that in this nowadays world that is in continue changing, and we must have this capacity. We must have the capacity to be able to change day after day, and
yes.
so to learn day after day. So yeah, this is I think the most important point.
Absolutely. Kaizen is, embracing every organization in order to fail better and then continuous improvement. So, as a closing remark, I would like to say problem solving is a skill that every leader needs to master for their business success by embracing a systematic approach, staying innovation, cultivating collaboration, which we have already discussed. So you can overcome any challenges that comes your way. So at last, thank you for joining us on Navigating Growth with Aurora. We hope that
Thank you
today's
very much.
discussion helps you sharpen your problem solving skill and find a new way to tackle any obstacle on in your own, and maneuvering yourself to guide your team member to yourself by embracing the continuous improvement methodology. Any last thing you would like to say again?
No, I think that we have already said everything. Just when you are a leader, you have a responsibility. So please be aware of this. Not use your power in order to be over the others, but you should be under the others in order to push them to become their better version. So that's
Absolutely.
all from me. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, that is
Thank you
also,
very much once again, Nathan.
you're welcome, Ogen. I mean, thank you so much, for coming on this podcast and giving your precious time. I hope, things are going well with you and hope to see you again in future, right? So we can
Definitely.
definitely, coming up with series in order to define a holistic ways of solving problem, because problem solving is a very vast topic, and people and most of the entrepreneurs, they learn based on their experience. So there is nothing like a theory. It's just that strategies can work different to different approaches, but most of the time experience really matters a lot. What business strategies that you are building for yourself, what improvements you are making, matters a lot.